Attention pro athletes. Want to secure your financial legacy and thrive off the field? Oakbridge Wealth Management, led by wealth manager Chris Anicetti, is your dedicated financial planning ally. But don't take it from me. Take it from the Dallas Cowboys' Tyler Biadasz. He says, Chris set goals financially and has been incredibly impactful in my journey in the NFL. Experience our customized, comprehensive approach, trusted by top NFL players. Don't leave your financial success to chance. Connect with Chris on Instagram at OakbridgeWM_Anicetti. That's OakbridgeWM_ANICETE, and let Oakbridge Wealth Management guide you across the goal line.
First sheet again, big opening, pass 5, pass 10, Vermont's a man, and he goes all the way to the 15-yard line. 17 yards out the
Welcome back to Believe in Badgers on the Believe Network, presented by BetOnline.ag and Oakbridge Wealth Management. Once again, I'm Matt Perkins, joined, as always, by Badger legend, the Hebrew Hammer himself, Matt Bernstein. Bernie, how are we doing today?
Dude, every day on the podcast is a holiday, baby.
And today is an actual holiday as we are recording this on MLK Day. It's also a holiday because the Buffalo Bills won. And it's also a holiday because our number one guest is back with us today. Recruiting personnel guru extraordinaire and our not just good friend, I can say our best friend, Clint Cosgrove. Great to see you as always, my friend.
All love. Thanks for having me on. Always the best time I have. Seeing Bernie, the Hebrew Hammer, seeing Perko. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that.
I mean, Clint, it doesn't get any better than having you here with us. We are here for part 1 of 5 of what you guys are going to absolutely love. Over the next 5 episodes, we are going to be breaking down every single commit for the prep and transfer class for the Badgers of 2024. We got a lot of tape to watch, a lot of tape to break down, and a lot of really exciting players to get to scout, to talk about, and talk about some ridiculous upside comps that I have for you guys later. I think you're going to enjoy that. Before we do, want to remind everyone that we are presented by BetOnline.ag, where they continue to be your number one source for all of your online sports wagering needs. You name it, they've got it over there at BetOnline. Head on over to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and receive a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit with our promo code BELIEVE. That's BLEAV, BetOnline, where the game starts. Okay, so in today's first episode of our scouting megapod that we are calling it, we are doing the offensive skill position players. And when you talk offensive skill position, we got to start with the first commit in this class for Coach Fick, the first recruit that Coach Fick signed for the 2024 class. It's Mabrey Mettauer, the big quarterback out of Texas, 4-star kid who has as much upside as any prep quarterback coming into the program as I can remember. Graham Mertz obviously was up there too, but Mettauer brings, I think, a lot more athleticism than Graham Mertz ever did. So, Clint, we're just going to throw on the tape here and get started here with Mabrey Mettauer. So what do you like about Mabrey?
Man, I love the size, love the size and athleticism combination. See it here. If you watched the Bills game earlier today, this is very reminiscent of what we saw Josh Allen do earlier in the day. Tucks the ball, runs. He's got long speed at 6'6", 220. You don't see that a lot. Everything just looks so effortless. I mean, you see him drop that ball right there. Very little effort. He sees the field well. You love his ability, to drop the deep ball right in the bucket, even when it's tightly contested. He kind of reminds me, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but of like a poor man's Trevor Lawrence. Now, when you say that, Trevor Lawrence is a generational, maybe the most complete and talented, physically talented quarterback of all time. Mabrey's got a lot of the same characteristics that you see of him. And so I mean that in the best way possible, but he's got incredible upside with development, some mechanical tweaks. You hope the injury, gets better, but there's just so much to like here. He can alter his throwing motion. He sees the field so well. He takes shots downfield, like you see it there. I mean, that looked like an effortless throw. It's like he's just kind of like, pitching darts. And so when he gets some strength in his core and his lowers, I mean, this is just pure God-given, physical ability is what you're seeing right now. And I know he's dialed in. I know that he is a student of the game. You can tell by the way he sees the field, but I mean, like, he's throwing off his back foot right there and just drops a dime. So when you get those mechanics cleaned up with his physical gifts, and in this offense with the receivers he's going to have and guys that we're about to watch and the schematics that we're going to see and the personnel groupings they're going to be able to put together, and his ability to even make, like, you looked earlier in this highlight, he dumps one off to the side. You think, well, there's another one. Those look like easy throws. Sometimes guys with big arms really struggle with that throw. He's pinpoint with everything. There's so much upside here. You love everything you see about him. Get a couple tweaks, a little mechanical, development, and he will thrive in this offense. You hope he gets healthy, and you're excited. Now, I was excited about Graham Mertz, but this is a different level of physical, God-given skill set that he does have.
This dude is 6'6". Did you see him move? He's moving and shaking.
It's like Owen.
I am high on this guy. Like, high, I smoked it all, if that's okay to say on this. Like, I am higher than I'm so high I could eat a star, like Lil Wayne said. This is the highest kid I think I've been on for a long time. I mean, to have a 6'6" QB, the guy literally is dropping dimes. He threw a 50-yard pass. That's a high school kid. Imagine cleaning up a little bit. I'm just so excited to watch this dude play at Wisconsin. He could take us to a whole new level. That's the ceiling that I think he can get to.
One of the things I love about him is that he has a really good creativity once he gets flushed out of the pocket too. He's not one of those kids, we talk about the athleticism. Yes, he can tuck in and run, but you see him when he scrambles out, his eyes are always downfield. Always looking to throw first. And that is a huge plus. You think of like some of those big physical quarterbacks. You talked about Josh Allen earlier, Clint. Allen, when he was a younger quarterback, he gets out of the pocket. He's just going to tuck it and run. But Mettauer already has a good enough head on his shoulders to keep those eyes downfield and only run as a last resort. But then when he does, like you said, he's got that long speed. He's got the Trevor Lawrence long speed. The same thing. I'm going to give a recklessly high ceiling comp for every single kid here. Guess what? Trevor Lawrence is the recklessly high comp I've got for Mabrey. And the reason, it's not just that he's 6'6", 225 with luscious, long, flowing blonde locks.
Luscious.
But man, he can sling it, he can run it, he can do everything that you're going to want a quarterback to do in this offense. Would not surprise me if he's starting year 2 in Madison.
And I hope that's the thought.
Yeah, I think that's the thought.
And he's already doing run pass option in high school. You know how hard that is? And in some of those clips, he's literally not even checking off the run. He's just gunning it to the bubble screen. You got to know, like, that is very attractive for Phil Longo and the offense he's putting together.
Absolutely.
And you love Texas quarterbacks. I mean, like, they're playing in that system from like 6th, 7th grade. Like, the dude knows football. At other positions, you sometimes wonder, have they maxed out their potential? At quarterback, you're like, this dude knows what he needs to know already. Now let's develop him as a college player. And now he's going to be, he's going to be fire.
And
so
he's been around a lot of high-level college ball. His brother was a starter at both Cal and then transferred, started at Oklahoma. Great offensive lineman, probably going to be taken in the draft next year. I mean, comes from a football family. I think this kid has huge upside. And his number one target very soon is going to be the next guy we're going to talk about, Kyan Berry-Johnson, the wide receiver who Clint has been gushing over. Clint and I have been buddies for like 3 years now. I think the day I met Clint, the first person he ever told me about was Kyan Berry-Johnson. I was like, Clint, like, come on, can this kid be that good? Well, Clint, is he that good?
He is that good. I had to sell him for so long, and I think that's why he was the first guy out of my mouth all the time. He's a human highlight film. He literally is. I mean, just watch every single play of this highlight. He's that dude. I've been watching him since he was probably 13 years old. Not the biggest, but he's not small either. He's probably one of the most skilled players I have seen in a while. Phenomenal twitch. Quickness in tight space, makes guys look stupid who try to cover him. I mean, he's a technician, brilliant route runner. I call him a slot machine. He's probably quicker than he is fast, but at the same time, he does have the ability to stretch the field. We're going to see that in this highlight. He's faster than you think. Now, the number one thing I would say about him, I mean, look at this. He has the best, and I'll go on record and I'll do it over and over again. I said at camp, I went on record, Kyan, that you have the best ball skills I have ever seen in my life. Your ass better not drop a single ball today. And he did not. He balled out. He made the big men look little men. And I'm telling you, this kid he's ready to contribute right away because he is a guy who he's just a technician. You ask him, what can I work? If you could work on one thing, what would it be? And he'll be like, tightening up my routes. This kid snaps out routes like no other. AJ Green, I think it was AJ Green, brought him on his 7-on-7 team because of he's known for these highlight catches. 50-50 balls are Kyan Berry-Johnson balls. It doesn't matter if there's a 6'2" corner on him. He's gonna get it. I'm high on my own supply right here, Bernie. And I've seen him. You have to see him in person to understand. Rivals was high on him. And I used to have to slow play him as we'd go into camps, and then people saw him in camp. And usually I'm like on the table fighting for Midwest kids. They're like, this kid's the real freaking deal. And I was like, okay, so 4-star real deal. They're like, Rivals 250. I'm like, say no more. Yeah. And that's the type of player he is. I've seen him probably 30 times in person over the past few years. He's kind of like a little brother. I haven't talked to him in a while. Hope you're doing well, Kyan. But he can ball.
Bernie, we know Longo loves those slot receivers.
He loves them. This kid, just from his high school highlights, I can only equal people to the Badgers because I watch them more than – and I'm just thinking about guys we played with. He kind of reminds me a little bit like chip on your shoulder, smaller guy, like a Brandon Williams type. Like in return balls, he's going to get every ball that's up for grabs. He's going to get it. He makes impossible catches, and he just looks like he has some swag, and that makes me excited.
He's got swag.
Talk about Brandon Williams. He's got juice in the return game too, just like B. Will. Yeah,
that's a new thing too.
Yeah, well, he's got the juice there. So recklessly high ceiling comp for this guy. You want to talk about ball skills? Odell Beckham Jr. That's my recklessly high comp for him. He can literally make any catch. Might not be the biggest receiver, but he's going to go up. He's going to extend, and he can make one-handed catches with the best of them. I mean, really excited to see him. Badgers are loaded in the slot between Will Pauling, Tretch Kekahuna, Vinny Anthony. But do not be surprised if he's getting snaps this fall and being a special teams contributor. Let's move to the tight end position. Badgers were really, really thin at tight end position. A lot of Tucker Ashcraft as a true freshman who played very well. Hayden Rucci's off to the NFL. There's going to be a lot of tight end snaps to go around. They brought in one guy in the transfer we'll talk about later in episode 4. But for now, we've got 2 really intriguing tight ends that the Badgers have brought in for this class. The first one is another one from your neck of the woods, Clint. Grant Stec out of Algonquin, Illinois. He is a classic Y tight end to me. And as someone who's going to be a contributor not only as a pass catcher, but I think as a very effective run blocker as well.
Yeah, I mean, this kid is the prototype. Literally. 6'6", 230. I'm just telling you, his ceiling is through the roof, okay? He's got the size of an inline tight end. All right. He's got the athleticism to boot. He's got the skills of a receiver. Explosive off the ball. You see that D-line clip, and of course I like him on the D-line, but that's just who I am. Explosive off the ball, physical with the want to. So as he gets in that Wisconsin strength program and develops into that true inline guy, he could be a dominant blocker and a dominant receiver. Okay, because he's the type that if you're gonna line him up in line, you're gonna have outside linebackers covering him, and he's gonna be an athletic mismatch, and he's gonna be a physical mismatch as well. 6'6", 230, and he's just scratching the surface of what he's going to be. He explodes through contact in the blocking game already. Obviously, he's at a different level of the guys around him, but once he develops, in the weight program, literally. There's nothing that he will not be able to do. He's what you see playing in the NFL. You see him on the D-line here. Oh, it's beautiful. Look at that snap off the ball, redirect, and just eat somebody up. But I love everything about him. You love his long stride. You love his ball skills already. A 6'6" kid. A lot of time at this stage, And I look at, and the next guy we're going to talk about, Robert Booker, just his development from last year to this year is in terms of body control. Guys this tall and long have a lot of trouble having ball skills, to put it bluntly, because their body hasn't, or their control hasn't caught up to their actual body. And he already has that. So I can only imagine once he fills out, and if he's 230 right now, he's probably higher than 230. I don't know if he's playing basketball or not this season. But this is a kid who's going to be a 260-pound tight end. You can flex him out. You can move him in line. He's going to be able to mash. He's going to be able to down block. He's going to be able to down block and then whip out in this offense. He can be detached, attached. He can detach your helmet from your head if you want to get in his way. This dude has a chance. He's got a chance to be special. The more I watch him, the more I love him.
Yeah, I would agree on everything you just said, obviously. He's got the nasty. He's got the violence. I mean, he's literally putting his fingers in the ground in a triple, not the triple option, in the power I or power, whatever you call it. And he is blowing dudes up. Like, that's the guy you want. And then you polish him off with some routes and some more, a little bit more strength. And this dude is going to kill people in the Big Ten. He's going to be nasty. I love it. And then once he starts catching the rock, you tell little guys don't want to tackle big guys. And that excites me for this guy. And I also think he's going to be the blocker tight end that can do all the other shit, but I think he's going to be used a lot to help block.
Yeah, well, Clint, he also could play my favorite position, that jumbo slot position.
Jumbo slot, baby.
As well. I love his versatility. You talk about dominating in the Big Ten, Bernie. My recklessly high comp for him, George Kittle, former Iowa tight end, who is one of the best combinations of blockers and pass catchers at the tight end position in the NFL these days. I really like Stec's upside. The combination of the physicality, the toughness, and the ability to not be a baby giraffe, already have those ball skills. That's huge. And now, he's going to be an old school Y for the most part. But the other tight end that the Badgers signed and flipped at the last minute from UCLA,
my man,
homegrown Wanakee tight end, Robert Booker, is someone I actually had on the podcast when he originally committed to UW. Really impressive kid, too. Really, really impressive young man. And he is more of your traditional H-back type. And so, we're going to throw on the tape here with Rob, but he does stuff with some balls in the air that is just truly impressive, Clint.
Yeah, and despite my Wanakee bias, hadn't beat them since middle school. They beat me every single time I played them in high school, knocked me out of the playoffs multiple times, and I still love the kid. They produce great football players. The kids there are tough. They understand football. And look at him run. Okay. You talk about baby giraffe, and he was that last year. Look at his skill set now. Just the way the body control has come together. His ability to stretch the field. He's literally a receiver that has that frame to be a guy who they can move in line, but can also split out. And I think you'll see him early on creating mismatches as a split out guy. So as a defensive staff, when you're trying to game plan, you're going through and you're like, what do we label guys as? All right. So Booker is a type of guy who they might be like, okay, do we put him as, look at him catch the ball in stride afterwards. That stride is freaking beautiful. Okay. So back to the scheme part. But, you're trying to label guys because you make your calls based off personnel. Do we call him a tight end? Do we call him a receiver? That's going to dictate the call you can make. It's going to dictate the personnel you have in the game. I don't know what I'd call him because he is a receiver that can play tight end. He can be in line. There's just so much to like about him. There's a reason a school like UCLA comes to the Midwest to try to grab a kid like this. And for Wisconsin to get him back in the end, to me, it's just a big thing. The more I watch him, I know I sound like I'm blowing smoke right now, but I love Booker. I absolutely do. I love him as a kid. I know the program inside and out that he's coming from. Look at the freaking stride, the way he catches it. And I liked him more as a defensive end the first time that we put him on. I was like, I want this kid, of course, but I want this kid as a defensive end. And so he could be a rush end. I think it's a testament to who he is. Comes from a great program. He's going to be a tough kid. Grew up in Wisconsin, loves Wisconsin football. And Yeah, I don't want to get too hyped up on all these guys, but I mean, Booker is I mean, he's got a chance to be the best tight end that's come out of Wisconsin in a long time. I have a feeling I know who your comp's going to be, and it's another Wisconsin guy, but we'll see.
We'll see, Bernie. What do you think?
I mean, this guy's a game changer on offense, right? Like his route running, his catching ability is, dude, he's a monster truck. Think about, you get him in the weight room. Like to me, he's an OD. Like he can run routes. He's athletic and he can catch. The second OD figured out how to block, he was an NFL Pro Bowler. Like he was a Super Bowl winner. So imagine this guy even can block a little bit. He doesn't even have to do a great job. He just has to do a good job. The sky's the limit. And this guy in our offense, in what I think our scheme is going to be one of the most integral dudes that we're picking up.
Well, he's already wearing the correct number for my comp here. For a good friend of ours.
I knew it.
He's wearing the number 9. He's wearing the number 9 jersey I bought when I was in college. This person cannot get the money for it then. He's been on the program many times. Travis Beckham. I mean, I think the comps there, it's so obvious in so many ways. Such a fluid athlete, such crazy good ball skills, and can stride it out, can make all the catches. We saw him go up, climb the ladder on some of those. With that frame, he's got wings. His wingspan, I think, is like 6'9", 6'10". I mean,
yeah, it's ridiculous.
You look at it, and that is going to be huge for a guy like Mabrey Mettauer. Especially when he's scrambling. Rob Booker's smart enough that when the play breaks down, he's going to be able to come back, get to where the quarterback needs to get him the ball down the field, and then just go. We even saw him on the bubble, take a bubble screen 40 yards to the house there. I love it. I absolutely love it.
This is a guy you line up on the goal line and just throw the ball up in the air.
Yeah. He's
That's
got
it.
more.
We haven't had that guy for a long time.
No, Ferguson had 3 touchdowns last night, and you saw, but like this kid, and think about, we played with OD. OD came in as a quarterback. OD was a big physical straight line guy. He has more wiggle than Owen. Now, you don't want to put those comparisons. You don't want to put that projection and the pressure on him, but his upside is freaking ridiculous. His stride, the fluidity in his hips, the way he's able to open his hips in the open field is ridiculous. When you're evaluating these kids, you're thinking about what is their ceiling. His ceiling is very freaking high.
Well, it has to be 6'6". Joke. Horrible dad joke.
Attention athletes. Do you want a frictionless and tailored financial planning experience to secure your future? Well, look no further. Introducing Oak Bridge Wealth Management, the premier financial planning firm for professional athletes. Led by wealth manager Chris Anicetti, our team provides a unique and comprehensive approach, ensuring your financial success both on and off the field. We understand the unique challenges you face as a professional athlete, from managing cash flow habits to planning major business purchases and navigating complex contracts. That's why we've developed a proven process, working closely with our strategic partners to provide seamless solutions for your unique financial journey. Our services evolve with your career, offering short, mid, and long-term goal setting, portfolio optimization, real estate investments, and more. As you transition to life beyond the field, we support you with career development and philanthropic ventures. But don't just take our word for it. Top NFL players like Chase Boulier, Tyler Biadasz, Alec Ingold, and more trust Oak Bridge Wealth Management to guide them towards financial success. Troy Dye of the Minnesota Vikings says, "I really love the work that Chris and the rest of the Oak Bridge group do. I especially like the honesty and transparency when it comes to setting up financial goals and plans that best fit my needs and situation. It's time to elevate your financial game plan. Connect with Chris on Instagram at OakBridgeWM_Anicetti. That's OakBridgeWM_ANICETE. And join the winning team." You want to talk about ceiling, Clint? We've got a running back who I think might be the only guy who you gush about as much as Kyan since I've known you. In terms of running backs with a ceiling and versatility, Darrion Dupree is someone who is going to be special. They got 3 backs in this class, but Dupree is someone who can do it all, not just as a runner, but also an elite pass catcher.
Yeah. So once again, first time I see Darrion is after his freshman year at a camp, and I was like, this kid's a DB.
Of course, you said
of
that.
course, yeah, of course I said it. I just loved his skill set. I told him he was a DB for a long time because I didn't know if he'd be big enough to be a big time running back, and he grew into that. Like, he's deceptively big, and watch him in the open field. Like, he is so slippery. He's a Swiss Army knife. Not as big as Reggie Bush, maybe, but he could fill out to be that size. But, in the same sense, he's every bit as dynamic as they come with the ball in their hands. And that's why he kind of reminds me of Reggie Bush. Phenomenal kid. He continues to grow. He plays physical for a guy of his size. And, that isn't, typically these guys are in that 5'7" range. He's in that 6'190" range. And so he's deceptively big, another personnel tendency breaker, because you can line him up as receiver as you want, as many times as you line him up in the backfield. And you talk about the three different backs, they all, they complement each other so well. He runs with power. He runs underneath his pads. He's got the breakaway speed, as you see there. I mean, he's playing against good football players. You got to understand that. I was at his first game this year against East St. Louis, and their entire game plan was, let's beat the crap out of him and make him a non-issue. And you can't do it. You just can't do it. And I talked about this on an earlier podcast. Jordan Lynch, his head coach, he said the only one who stopped him from being, even though he won Gatorade Player of the Year or whatever, the only one who would stop him from running for 300 yards and receiving for another 100 a game was me. He's like, because we have other guys. And he's like, I want to see how far he can take this. He didn't take a lot of lumps in high school because, you look at that, like, people don't get a shot on him because his balance is so incredible. He is so slippery, and he is a physical guy. He will lay his head down, and you just love him as a kid. Great feet, vision, can run between the tackles. You don't think of him as a guy who can run between the tackles, but his intermediate and short, look at it right there. Like, his ability to see something and then stick his foot in the ground in a little amount of time and then get to full speed a couple steps later is just different. He hits the hole. He can hit the edge as well. You get him in space. He has as good a balance as I've seen as well. Like, he is hard to bring down. You think of guys who are hard to bring down as they're just bowling you over, like the Hebrew Hammer over here. He's hard to bring down because you can't wrap him up. You dive at his ankles and it doesn't matter. He puts his hand down and he keeps going. And there's not a lot of kids like that. He's special. He is special. You have to see him in person to really understand it.
A lot of those clips remind me of a very special person who I blocked for in my final season. And he looks like a Calhoun. You don't think, when I saw Calhoun come in, I'm like, there's no way this guy's going to run between the tackles. And he said to coach, I want to do that. He's like, this is where my bread and butter is. That dude could catch the ball. He could run. He could do, catch a pitch and be out in the corner in 2 seconds. He loved running between the tackles. And that to me is kind of, and a Calhoun is exactly what our offense needs in a running back. Someone who can run inside, can run outside, and catch the ball and line up as a slot receiver and do everything. And that is this guy. And again, I am very high, not literally, but figuratively very high on this guy too. Like,
you're going to be by the end of the show, literally.
Well, Clint's comp is Reggie Bush. Bernie's comp is Brian Calhoun. I've got a different Badger grade. I've got James White as my recklessly high comp for him because of that versatility, because of that really high football IQ. And one of the things to remember, James White came in and was 1,000 yards as a true freshman. I don't know how many touches he's going to get, but he's going to get touches as a true freshman. He's going to play as a freshman because they are thin at running back. Ches will be coming back off of injury. They've got the Walker, the transfer from Oklahoma. But, Dupree, as well as the two other freshman running backs we're about to talk about, all have a chance to contribute immediately. Dupree, with that well-rounded game, as good a shot as anyone to contribute as a first-year player. Now, one of the big compliments, the third piece of the puzzle, the last of the three running back commits for the Badgers this summer, was Dilin Jones. And Dilin Jones is our next back here out of Maryland. And he is interesting. We'll talk about Gideon Ituka in a second. He's sort of Jones to me is the in between Dupree and Ituka. Dilin Jones does a little bit of everything really, really well. And to me, one of the things that really impresses me is his ability to make guys miss in the open field, not just with elusiveness, but with power as well. Clint, what do you think?
You're the guru on evals because you literally stole my eval like right out of my mouth. Like if I look at my notes, it was pretty much what you said, but he's a downhill runner. He gets downhill. He creates extra yardage through being physical. You know, he has a physical running style, but he doesn't go down on first contact. He plays bigger than he's listed. I find it hard to believe that, what did it say? He's 5'11", 180. I mean, he looks bigger. He looks bigger than Darrion to me. And, he plays like a bigger back, he's a guy that he's very complete. I don't know if he's elite in one single category, but he's really darn good in every category. The way he gets downhill, you have to love it. He doesn't sit there and pitter patter in the backfield. He's going downhill, and he's going downhill with purpose. And although he's a different type of hard to tackle in space, whereas Darrion's slippery, he's going to run you over, but he can also make you miss in space, which is very deceptive because he runs a little bit upright, but he does this little wiggle where he sticks his foot in the ground that just throws people off. And that's why you see him looking back at people in the open field as he's striding into a touchdown. You stole it out of my mouth. He is literally the hybrid of Dupree and Ituka. I just think when you combine the three, you have like Bo Jackson, So that's all three combined. But I just think they did a really good job of identifying, okay, this is what we need. We're not going to find that in one player, but let's bring in three guys who can define everything we need in this offense to work together. You got Dupree, a tendency breaker, a receiver type. You've got him, downhill runner who can do some stuff in the pass game as well. I think he's going to be a really good pass protector. You don't necessarily see it on the highlight that we saw, but he's got the size and the body control to be that. He plays smart. And then we'll get to the next guy afterwards, who's the Thunder to Dupree's Lightning. And you just like the way they complement each other. And you don't need all three to hit. You just need all three to do something. And together, you got a pretty darn good group.
Listen, I'm all for downhill runners, man. I feel like we've
struggled
this year. Imagine that. I think we struggled this year in getting a yard or 3 yards. And this kid can do it. Put him in the backfield, like, dude, we need 2 yards, 3 yards. He does look like he runs upright, but he's getting off tackles. And it's just beautiful to watch him run. To me, he looks like a McFadden type of runner.
Yeah.
Right? Is that from Arkansas from 20 years?
Yeah, that's very good.
Just by watching him, I'm like, this guy look. I was going to say big play, John Clay, but then I'm like, no, this is McFadden. And McFadden is pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
That upright running style, exactly like McFadden. Clint, Byrne, I think that's
Eddie George.
That's a better recklessly high ceiling comp than I had. Mine was Corey Clement. Talking Badger backs, I like him as Corey Clement, someone who's just good at everything, right? Maybe not truly elite at anything, but we also know he can also pass protect a little bit. Like he can do a little bit, but if I need 2 yards, I'm giving it to back number 3. That is Gideon Ituka, also from the state of Maryland. But my God, Clinton, you had to sell me on him, but this kid is a freaking bowling ball, and now I love him.
Dude, I remember our conversation. So we were going in to break down his film. And he's like, Clint, you gotta tell me something here because I just don't get it. I was like, okay, I don't know a ton about him, but I know they had him in camp. And if you have a running back in camp and who's built like this, then there's something good. So you turn on this film and you have to love this kid. And he's a different player now than he was when he first committed. And I think that shows the evaluation, the projection, the ability to say what a guy is going to be, which is so important when building a program because you have a GM mentality when you can project a kid like this. And he turned out to be everything that I think they thought he could be. He's the Thunder to Dupree's Lightning. Like I said, he is a bowling ball with a big time burst. And much like the Hebrew hammer, I'm not trying to tackle him. I'm not diving at his ankles. I might roll. I might try to maybe slap at him, but like he's going to bowl you. And he's at full speed right away. I don't know what his top end speed is, but it doesn't matter. His feet are so good in the hole in that tight space. He can make quick decisions. He's just a perfect scheme fit. You know, he's going to get 5 to 6 man boxes to run against with this open offense. I think he'll really thrive in it. It kind of reminds me of the way that Tennessee, when they came on the scene, when Golish was the offensive coordinator 2 years ago, when they beat Alabama, where they're always having 4 wide going straight vertical, and he's getting a 5-man box, and they were running the ball 50% of the time, but everyone thought that they were throwing the ball all over the field. He is that guy. He's a downhill runner. He's going to get those yards. He can break a big play. I don't know if he's a 90-yard sprinter, but we have that in Dupree. I just think he's so perfect for the offense. This is your scheme fit right here, and he's going to thrive in this scheme.
Yeah, I love what he can do. Hey, he can even catch a little bit out of the backfield. I mean, why not? I mean, it's better. His running is better than the camera work we saw there in that clip. And he might have the long speed, but what I love about him, Bernie, is that it takes him like 2 steps to get up to top speed.
About to say his burst is unbelievable, but his jump cut ability, and his vision, he's getting up on dude's heels, and he is jump cutting his way, and then the burst, the 2-step, and then you're at top speed. Who cares if he can run 90 yards? The football field's not that long. I mean, it's 100 yards, but if he starts out at 80, maybe he'll score a touchdown. The thing is, what we need is dudes who can make cuts in space and get out and get people running. And Clint, as you know, the whole point of a halfback is you got to get dudes running so you can cut back. And this kid's vision and his ability and his downhill, I love all of that. And I also love, just to kind of put it all together, is none of these guys look alike. Like they all are very different. And it is exactly what we should be doing. As it gives me confidence in our staff to say, you're not getting clones. You're literally picking guys for their abilities that are different to help the offense in every different aspect of the game and situations.
Well, it's time for my last recklessly high ceiling comp for part 1 here. And for me, it's to me, this is probably the easiest one. It's Javonte Williams, former running back from North Carolina, under Longo, who was same build. 5'8", 225, one cut, downhill, bowl people over, run for 1,500 yards in a season. I can see Ituka. He's the only one of the 3 who is an early enrollee. He's going to get a lot of touches and a lot of reps this spring, especially with Ches Malusi out injured, that you could see him being a big-time contributor for the jump. All right, everyone, stay right there, or don't, but just come back, because we'll be back with part 2 next time here on Believe in Badgers on the Believe Network, presented by betonline.ag and Oak Bridge Wealth Management. To you and yours on Wisconsin.
Let's go!
What are we doing here?